the culture of chauvinism. Men had to sacrifice women in order to be men. Do you know that this used to happen up into the early 90s? Men and women were taught this evil by subliminal factors. Women believed and were faithful to the evil idea as much as men. I will give you a hint of my life as a teenager in the 80s. If you are too young to have known, ask your father. He had the same experience, but maybe he was as blind as all of us. In our blind beliefs, we followed society and its norms like sheep without conceiving that anything was wrong. We trusted and obeyed. Let us take the sins of the past as proof that we must be aware of everything in the present. We must have our say in the matter of at every time. Our trust will destroy us. Trust will destroy us. Hey, my listeners, Skywalker here again, hoping to introduce a new ish but interesting perspective to reason. Today, it dawned on me that most men and women, since independence and up to the early 90s, do not realize that an awful and immoral culture of sacrificing women is now dying or is dead. Most would not realize that it existed in the first place, much less that it rightfully died by the 2000s. I hope by these discussions, we will develop that higher sense of connectivity to a deeper part of our reality, to a higher part of our reality, of which we must become aware. It is unseen, it can't be, or it can be malevolent, and it can be beneficent. It cultivates norms and creates conventional laws or stereotypes. It is a godlike power given to the hands of the handlers of our leaders. It is unseen, spiritual even. So we don't recognize it when our minds are stuck to the mundane. It is the spiritual ability to create norms, mindsets are new norms and new mindsets to the masses. It is the secret of mindset cultivation, the unseen force that writes the human mass programming. It, it is bad advice to not pay attention to the spiritual aspects of life and living. Understand the spiritual dimension of existence in terms of mind, words, and reason. When you use the word divine, you refer to that parallel existing realm. It is referred to in some quarters as a parallel reality, and it is. You also exist in that reality, but you are not as aware of that God plane as you used to be. However, it is very easy to reclaim. Will you continue living on only half of your ability to experience and grow? This makes you mere men. Think about speaking words as sending out divine spirits. And when you say, Harry, come here, you transfer your meaning and your will to Harry by spiritual force and cause him, a physical character, to become affected because of the unseen. It is not the sound that made him come forth. It is the magic word in the meaning, or it is the magic in the meaning of that word that is spiritual or divine, and I'm using the word magic for now. The sound that carries the spell is not the magic, it is the spell of idea you project that created his knowledge of your intent and cause his response to you. It is not the word, it is not the sound. It is something spiritual inside of the word. It is a meaning inside. This is an elementary step into exploring the science of Godhood, of speaking the impossible into being, as malevolent forces will do to man if he keeps his eyes closed. You hear words, but you never hear meanings. You conceive other people's meanings by your own intelligence upon hearing words. If you thought that sugar is salt, how would you react to please pass the salt? Again, you conceive your own meaning because of other people's word sounds. You have the meaning inside of you, but they only incite it, or they only remind you, they only cause you to invoke that meaning. In the beginning was Word as God, that you must relate to by divine word as spirit. Otherwise, we the people, being too trapped by material illusions, will suffer if some wayward elite who uses these God powers to inflict spiritual wickedness from the high divine planes down to the less enlightened masses. I expose an example of mind malcultivation, by reckless behavior by authority forces. I hope my attempt for clarity help those who are less accustomed to these divine God principles of understanding reality. We see them in ancient documents, including all our religious scriptures, but we stay so far from spiritual awareness that we interpret them as esoteric or magic principles beyond our reckoning. No, my people, they are natural words and reasoning, just like cook breakfast, are just like you cooking breakfast and choosing eggs over bacon. These reckoning are removed These reckonings are removed from your thought processes to limit your awareness. Do you realize how some words become taboo every now and again, and you are not allowed to say them anymore? In that same way, they extract and are detached the understanding of spirit from you so that you can't connect with God, the divine, anymore. If you grasp the above concept of the intrinsic word and divinity, when you want to understand the cosmic heaven, the earth, and your relationship to higher powers, say the following words and think about them thoroughly. Say, God internal, man divine, as if in a call to action, and it will create a path to your soul and salvation. God internal, man divine. Scientists that claim to have discovered magic are utmost idiots. Magic are miracles do not exist. Magic are miracles do not exist. They are merely sciences not yet conceived. Even witchcraft is science that you do not understand. The word scientist simply means a wizard. Science was witchcraft before it became known as science. Pythagoras' theorem is a magic spell before it is a science formula. It is referred to as a spell because you can actually write or lay out how it works and teach others to do so. This is why it is a spell. The word spell means formula. Elon Musk is a wizard, but a wizard is a witch. And old our ancient witch hunts were to destroy those with the knowledge, the beacons, including he whom you call Jesus, to take the light from the world and make you, that same sacrifice, Son of Man, have to look up or have to look to them outside of you for definition. Christ can only be sacrificed by the Son of Man and never by any demon. Christ's sacrifice is self sacrifice. God in itself cannot be sacrificed. Can you sacrifice perpetual motion? That's why the same victim, the Son of Man, breaks bread in church to ritualize a sacrifice of the Son of Man. Humans sacrifice humans. Do dogs ritualize the sacrifice of the pups of dogs? No. You read books talking about everything, including blood and sacrifice, but you don't know what they mean. You are dependent for definitions, so you just accept. You depend on others for definitions because you outed the internal life. Jesus is you. You are the Son of Man. But even as exact as these words are, even in the Bible, you still don't recognize them. So you stay hanging on that grass. When the sun arises, it will be that third day. That's why the rebels you call the heretics are here. Good seems evil and evil good, but this will never prevail forever. Everything natural they turn to superstition and magic to scare you out of trusting your own understanding. then you become dependent for definitions. I hope you don't run away and say that I am the heretic. Listen and see if it is making sense. If it is the truth, it will connect. You will know, and your third eye will return its vision to you. Today, then you will see all spiritual traps are gin prepared for you, the people, no longer the sheep. When we say we are all gods, it is never meant in any blasphemous way. However, the adage for this day and age would be more accurate, as we can all be gods by embracing the divine. Those that rule over your leaders see themselves as gods because you want to remain ignorant and let them only be concerned about knowing and explaining. It is like giving your bank account to a stranger and saying, "You take care of me. You take care of me because I am tired of checking these transactions every day. I'll take anything you tell me." People, we the masses will sometimes bury our faces in the sand, while around us, these social engineering and changes to our norms and cultures prevail. We trust to never trust our own understanding, to trust and obey our shepherds, and this makes the masses play like nothing but pawns and victims of elite whims, elite fancies, and elite shepherds sacrificing the docile sheep masses. Let me show you a paradigm shift that took place in the 90s. Every person over 30 will remember this. How it was a chauvinistic principle, but women were spellbound and complicit, that we as men had to sacrifice women in their integrity to be qualified as grown men. Both men and women will wonder how they never realized these adverse mind conditioning. But that long, boring rant before I got to the topic was done to pull their triggers and show you how to open your eyes. Some spells can easily be dispelled or deleted. Isn't it so? You will open your eyes and will be amazed of what you see, seeing the impossible unseeable and knowing the impossible unknowable without having to think that, oh, it's magic. There is no darn magic, my friend, and without the science, there will be no miracle. No, I remember as a teenager in high school, as early as eighth grade, we were in class and the teacher was not in yet. This girl was making a negative rant about girls as if upset with her peers. Well, she was talking to me, but I was wondering where it all came from. Maybe she had an experience. Maybe someone in her family got deceived by a woman. I only speculated. The thing she was saying was almost to destroy the value of women, and for some reason, she was advising me to use girls and then dump them, wishing she was a man that she could deal with it herself. At the time, I was more concerned about her pain. She was going through something awful. At least that is what I believe. That conversation seemed to come out of the blues, but it stayed with me for years. There was already an adverse culture of boys being encouraged, even by their own mothers, to approve themselves by that same prowess. However, her little princess daughter, her little princess daughter, the daughter she cherished, should never be touched until the day she got married. But she was encouraging her son to do it to others. That was difficult math for me to calculate. Worst, I was never good at math because I always saw different ways to do them and get the answer. And in school, you have to go that one route all the time. There is no other method. They always say it's always, like a herd mentality. If her son had to go and show his prowess by using her neighbor's daughter, but her neighbor's son should never come by her house, wouldn't that make her kind of bad mind? Maybe, but you haven't seen the bad mind yet. Their fathers were worse. He needed to make his son do the ritual and become a man too. But don't even call her daughter's name, for he will run for his gun. So That one little sister in eighth grade opened up my eyes to a universal injustice. In order for a woman to keep her dignity and be a lady, she would have to keep her purity until the day she got married. I have no problem with such a pure and honorable concept. The higher the level that you can go, the greater will be the divine and just reward. So I like that idea. What I had problem to figure out was that within that whole setup, boys would have to be the devils. In order to qualify for that pure girl in the future, he would have to trick and defile other girls to sacrifice and make that sacrifice of morality for a come up. That saga buzzed in my head throughout the years in high school. I was never that conventional child who had time for conventional ideas. It was always a unique thought that was in my head. I loved history, but then I felt that it was a lie, and so I sometimes got confused, wondering if I had to write down the lie when I already figured on what the truth was. They said that Nanny, the traitor, deserved to be the heroine. Columbus discovered Jamaica, although the people here told him the name, and Michael Manley had all these brilliant ideas he came up with. Although I read about what happened to Marcus Garvey and saw who stole his manifesto. I lived at the library in my spare time because we had no internet. I hardly read anymore. Well, I hardly read anymore at this time too, because I look at the introduction and the cover and I know what's inside there. I've seen them all. But I was mesmerized by the thought of this moral sacrifice and reeked of the, that moral sacrifice. It reeked of chauvinism is the word. And even so, I wondered if I were the culprit. I was caught up in learning everything outside of school. That I was a mostly laid back. But for some reason, I got a lot of notes from girls to the degree that it became a marvel to my best friend, who was a footballer and a top goalkeeper in the island. So he was popular island wide. It bothered me that I could be a part of the problem though. Was I involved in some kind of betrayal against our sisters? Here is what I did, and here is the culture shock. I did a little research. I went around the class asking the girls whether they would accept a virgin for a husband. Not one of them said yes at the time. Some replies that I don't forget to this day were, "Do you believe I want an idiot in my bed? So who is going to teach whom and the works?" I had a friend, a sister, whom I was most interested to hear from. She shared that same point of view. That also led to my confusion because her opinions were always important to me. If a young man had to defile a girl in the past to qualify for the one in the future, when will he be honorable in a young relationship? Our way of society seems to be flawed. Still, where in the acceptance of these norms does one get to point finger at the other? We are what others teach us to be because we have denied ourselves, ejected God from our souls, and crucified the Son of Man from within. It is so clear, but because our eyes are closed, concise articles and perfect legibility have no value, do they? I realize that we, as the masses, abide by unwritten rules in the form of subtle little cult norms, but they came not from us. We simply accepted them as the order. At the same time, when the women blamed their male counterparts, they could be looking at themselves. Just as they were being sacrificed, they themselves were aiding and abetting in that sacrifice, like Jephthah's daughter in the Bible. So this The sacrificer and the sacrifice were either about culprits or about victims. Pick anyone you like. I hope this little eye opening will edify, as these little truths will spark up a good conversation and all the great controversies leading to uplifting the masses. Think on these things, my people. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Peace out.